Where's Yogi going? Yogi, come back! Good boy. Come on, Bear.
You guys excited to see a spaceship take off? Sure.
It has no laser weapons.
No laser weapons, not yet. Yeah.
You cannot land, but you can do a low fly.
That way.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. Go Falcon.
There is.
Copy, 1 Alpha. Vehicle switching downrange.
Not quite.
Going out.
Propulsion is nominal.
Hear it and feel it here. A little bit. Takes a while for the sound to get here.
Lagging.
Yep. See how slow the speed of sound is, Hunter?
Seconds into the Polaris Dawn mission, flying crew on board Dragon and Falcon 9 to new heights.
Power and telemetry nominal.
And we're throttling down in preparation for max Q. Next call out, the vehicle supersonic. And there on the left side, we got the Polaris Dawn crew.
Supersonic.
Thumbs up from the pilot on the left side there.
Max Q.
We're throttled back up to power.
1 Bravo.
And we heard the call out 1 Bravo.
Copy, 1 Bravo.
That just tells the crew what would happen should they need to initiate anything. But right now, everybody making nominal callouts on Falcon 9. Nice views from the ground camera, and nice view from inside Dragon.
Impact chill is underway.
The announcement lets us know we've begun the final chill of the second stage engine in preparation for its activity coming up at about T plus 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Two minutes into flight, everything continues to look good. We'll have in half a minute 3 major activities: shutdown of the 9 Merlin 1D engines, stage separation,
throttle down,
and then ignition of the second stage engine. Throttle down, we're holding a constant acceleration now for the crew just below 4 Gs. See, we're coming up 70 kilometers. Preparing for MECO.
main engine cut off.
2 Alpha.
Stage separation confirmed. Copy, 2 Alpha. Impact ignition.
As you can tell by the cheers behind us and the views on your screen, The first stage booster now on its way to attempt landing. Second stage there on the right-hand side of your screen. You can see that the first stage has not yet reached its apogee. You can see the altitude there. Lots of thumbs up there from pilot Scott Kidd Poteet. Now 3.5 minutes into the Polaris Dawn mission. Now the grid fins have deployed on the first stage. If we get first stage views, we might be able to see the Florida coast in the background. Oh, they're right there. Yeah, we sure can. Our booster is attempting to land on our drone ship. Just read the instructions. All right, standing by for entry burn begin on the first stage, there on the left-hand side of your screen.
And right on time, you can see on your left-hand screen that the entry burn has begun. There's 3 engines lit on that first stage vehicle. And this is about a 29-second burn and helps slow the vehicle down as it's re-entering the Earth's atmosphere. SECO 1, and that is second stage engine cutoff 1, and that'll be on the second stage. That MVAC engine on your right-hand screen will shut down and allow the vehicle with Dragon attached to coast.
MVAC shut down.
And there's that shutdown. And the landing burn on the first stage should be starting up here momentarily. And there it is. Landing burn has begun for
Dragon SpaceX, nominal orbit insertion.
Dragon SpaceX, launch escape system disarmed.
Copy that, SpaceX, and we show the same.
And a lot of events happening right there, but you can see that the stage 1 vehicle has touched down on Just Read the Instructions. A very excited crowd there here in Hawthorne. We've also confirmed MVAC engine shutdown and orbital insertion of the second stage with the crew on board.
A pretty impressive crowd for 2:30 in the morning here. We can see the crew enjoying their first taste of microgravity there on the left-hand side of your screen. And the next event coming up will be the separation of the Dragon from the second stage. I believe this view here is, it's of the trunk. We can see it separating from the second stage. A gorgeous view. We can see that Polaris Dawn.
Separation confirmed.
And copy that, SpaceX, we show the same.
Polaris Dawn flying free into the sunrise.
Dragon SpaceX, today you embark on a journey not just for yourselves, but for all humanity. Each of you has trained tirelessly and prepared rigorously for this moment, the moment where we reach higher into space than ever before. As you gaze towards the North Star, remember that your courage lights the path for future explorers. We trust in your skills, your bravery, and your teamwork to carry out the mission that lies ahead. Know that the entire team back here is with you every step, watching, supporting, and cheering you on as you walk into space. We are sending you hugs from the ground. Godspeed, Polaris Dawn crew. May you make history and come home safely.
Dragon, CE, welcome to orbit. The Falcon team is honored to have helped you start your incredible journey. We hope you enjoyed the ride. The whole SpaceX family is looking up to you. Godspeed and good luck.
LD, CE, message received. We appreciate the kind words. We wouldn't be on this journey without all 14,000 of you back at SpaceX and everyone else cheering us on. We appreciate it, and we're going to get to work now.
This mission will fly higher than any Dragon mission to date, attempting to reach the highest Earth orbit ever flown for a crewed spacecraft, breaking the record set by Gemini 11 half a century ago. And there it looks like we can see some nose cone separation action happening. Now, the Polaris Dawn crew will also be the first to test the Starlink laser-based communications in space.
Got to see the launch.
At least it launched.
Yep. Right where I thought it was.
Yeah, that's good.
Very cool. Yeah.
Must be a really thick fun.
Yeah. And it's going to the east.
Oh,
So.
but here, giant plane.
What did you guys think? Was that cool?
Yeah, the one thing that kind of blinded me.
Yeah, pretty cool. Lit up the sky.
Sunrise.
Three, two, one.
Welcome aboard the Dragon spacecraft. I'm Sarah Gillis, one of the Polaris Dawn crew members.
Approaching the top of the board here. SpaceX. Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, Earth sure looks like a perfect world. Single-handed mobility demonstration.
Commander Jared Isaacman now emerging
Copy,
from...
we're with you in Test Matrix 1, watching from the nose cone.
Stepping into Test Matrix 1 for single-handed mobility.
Really cool to see one of our own out there. That's awesome.
Hello and welcome to the Dragon spacecraft. You are here with the Polaris Dawn crew. And we are so excited to talk to you today about some of the science and research we are doing on board here. We've had about 40 science and research experiments that we have been tackling. So right here what you see, this is a butterfly ultrasound device. You're able to actually image all sorts of different pieces of the body and get really good diagnostics through it.
The Leo plant is a casing that holds different plants, and we've been imaging these plants on a daily basis to see what the impact of zero gravity is on this plant. I'm pretty excited about this experiment right here. This is a Tempest Pro called our ambulance in a box. So we have to be able to bring diagnostic tools into space with us and then be able to beam that information back home to the flight surgeons. So blood pressure, SpO2, respiration, EKG leads.
I've got a couple of devices here, a Quick C and a pupilometer here. But we've been collecting data kind of every day, looking at the changes in our vision over time and space. That is just a brief insight into the wealth of science and research that we've been doing up here. We are so excited to gather as much data as we can for the scientists back on Earth so that we can learn together and contribute to our collective future for the future of human space exploration and on Earth as well. Thanks. Bye.
And this, you can see on your screen, is the first ground view of the Dragon capsule making its way back, entering the Earth's atmosphere. Oh, that is so awesome. There's 4 humans inside of that capsule right now.
Now, once again, we are in the anticipated communications blackout period. Oh, that's an incredible view from the recovery ship stationed out in the water. Another view of the
Dragon SpaceX, com check.
I can have you loud and clear. Help me, SpaceX.
Loud and clear, Jared. Expect automated chute deployment.
Incredible views, incredible comms. We have regained communications with the Polaris Dawn crew. This is a drone circling the recovery vessel. And that little white dot, I should start, the big white dot on the right, obviously the moon, the little white dot there in the center of your screen is the Dragon Resilience vehicle making its way, its final few kilometers back down to planet Earth after spending 5 days in orbit.
Dragon SpaceX, GPS converged. Expect nominal altitude for drogue chute deploy.
Copy that, SpaceX. We show the same and tracking.
There we can see that the drogue chutes have successfully deployed. It's a great thermal image. And that view is from the actual basin where those drogue parachutes are located.
Dragon SpaceX visual on 2 healthy drogues.
Copy that, SpaceX. We show the same.
These drogue parachutes help to stabilize the Dragon capsule and get it into the right orientation before those main parachutes pop out, as well as providing that initial deceleration.
This is such a great thermal shot of the Dragon capsule. You can see it turning a little bit with the drogue parachutes. And there are the 4 main chutes now deployed. They'll slowly open up to their full deployment here in just a few seconds.
Incredible views of the Polaris Dawn crew returning to Earth after 5 days in Earth's orbit. The crowd here at Mission Control in Hawthorne cheering.
SpaceX visual on 4 mains and descent rate nominal.
We can see the Polaris Dawn crew nestled in their seats there on the left-hand side of your screen as they anticipate their splashdown.
Copy 6.
200, we're bracing.
Copy 200 embraced.
Bracing for splashdown.
That will be the final call we hear from Jared until contact with the ocean surface. And there you can see.
SpaceX copies, we see splash.
As you can see on your screen, and by the cheers behind us, the Polaris Dawn crew has successfully splashed down.
Welcome back to planet Earth, Polaris Dawn.
SpaceX recovery team now moving into place to begin the process of strapping the Dragon capsule up with the necessary rigging in order to lift it onto the recovery vessel. Mission Specialist Anna Menon.
Mission Specialist Sarah Gillis back on Earth.
SpaceX, Dragon, this is the final call. Sign off.
Commander Jared Isaacman.
Hey, that's an actual, I think, Falcon 9.
There's a car.
It did, but that's been to space and back, I'm sure.
Looks like buttons.
I'm not a pilot. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Are they crashing?
Turn everything off.
Everything on.
Like a smart idea.
How much does the Boeing suit weigh?
100 pounds?
Nope. Grayson, what do you think?
200.
25.
It probably weighs.
Oh,
20 pounds.
wow. That is a light suit. That's impressive.
With all of its accessories, the whole suit is like,
Yeah.
oh, it doesn't say.
Oh, it doesn't say?
No.
Oh, I'm sure we can look it up.
Yeah, the helmet's 3D.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. Different tiles to absorb the heat, like on re-entry.
I'm a geologist. I know exactly
Yeah.
what these are.
They're basically.
It's fiberglass. Something like that.
My name's Curtis, and on behalf of NASA, the National Aeronautics Space Administration, I'd like to welcome you all aboard. Segment of the tour is going to be taking you to the Apollo Saturn V Center, where they'll be able to see a real Saturn V rocket, along with other artifacts from the Apollo era.
Today you'll be following me behind the gates on this exclusive bus tour of Kennedy Space Center.
Now approaching the Vehicle Assembly Building, or as NASA calls it, the VAB. It is one of the largest buildings in the world by volume, and is the place where NASA completes the final assembly of its rockets before launch. The sheer scale of this building is hard to grasp, even when you're right next to it.
It has 4 bays. Each bay has 2 large horizontal doors below it and 7 smaller vertically opening doors above it, tall enough to fit the world's largest rocket through. In fact, these are the largest doors in the world.
It was built in the 1960s for the Apollo program. Every Saturn V rocket that sent humans to the moon was assembled right here. Every space shuttle mission also assembled within these same walls.
We're going to be entering a location known as Launch Complex 39 Industrial Area. Now inside the industrial area, we can find the facilities of the Vehicle Assembly Building, the Launch Control Center, Orbiter Processing Facilities, Crawler Transporter Service and Maintenance Yard, and the Kennedy Space Center press site where the countdown clock is located, amongst other support buildings and facilities. Straight ahead of us, just to the right of the roadway, we got 3 large identically sized buildings. 2 of them are going to have large blue doors on them. The third one's going to have a mural of a capsule on the front face of the building. These 3 buildings were called Orbiter Processing Facilities during the Space Shuttle program, and this is where the shuttle orbiters would come to after they have landed. Well, after the shuttle program retired, a company called Boeing leased out all 3 of the buildings. Now, the one we see with the mural of the capsule on it, that's where Boeing assembles the CST-100 crew capsule Starliner, which is designed to fit on an Atlas V rocket and to be launched from Launch Pad 41. Now, next up, going to be up ahead to our left, is the iconic Vehicle Assembly Building. Now, the Vehicle Assembly Building was completed in 1966, but the American flag and the bicentennial star were not added on and presented until 1976, now in celebration of the 200th anniversary of the founding of the United States. Now, in 1998, the bicentennial star was replaced with the NASA meatball logo we see here today. That was in celebration of NASA's 40th anniversary of its founding of the agency in 1958. Now we are looking at the world's largest hand-painted American flag and NASA meatball logo. Now next to the vehicle assembly building, just to the right, is a low-lying white building with thin vertical windows in it. This is the Launch Control Center. Now the Launch Control Center contains 4 firing room systems inside. Fire room number 1 we locate to the far left of the Launch Control Center from us, where fire room number 4 is going to be on the far right. Now currently, fire room number 1 has the controls to Launch Pad 39B for the Artemis program, and it's operated by NASA. Fire room number 4, on the other hand, that one has the controls to Launch Pad 39A, and that's for SpaceX to be able to launch the Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy rockets. Now for NASA to be able to transport these large launch vehicles vertically from the vehicle assembly building out to the launch pad area all these years, well, we relied on a vehicle known as the Crawler Transporter.
Big dreams require big equipment. I'm standing next to the Crawler Transporter, the largest self-powered land vehicle in the world. It was originally built in 1965 for the Apollo program and has since been updated to accommodate the space shuttle and now NASA's SLS rocket.
And today we have both Crawler Transporters parked here. Crawler Transporter 2 is going to be on the left side of the service yard.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
When President John F. Kennedy made this speech in 1962, he set in motion an era of discovery that would change humankind forever. 7 years after he spoke these ambitious words, the world watched as Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin became the first people to walk on the moon. As we arrive at the Apollo Saturn V Center to learn more about that historic era, get ready to step back into a time when NASA had everything to prove to a nation focused on one goal: to be the first country to land on the moon.
When I was a kid, I used to dream about flying through space.
I'm Don Hudson. This is Pad 39 of the Kennedy Space Center. I was a launch controller here when from this very spot, man took off to fly to the moon. It was a journey that began 12 years before that rocket ever left the ground.
Back then, we were one of 2 superpowers that always seemed to be on the edge of a turn. In 1957, the Soviet Union launched the first ever man-made satellite into Earth orbit. They called it Sputnik. Every ham radio operator in America could hear it read it. People were afraid. Were the Soviets looking down on us, watching us? If they could make a satellite pass over our cities, could they do the same with a bomb? Our own space program kicked into high gear, and less than 2 months later, we were ready to launch our own satellite. It was being called the space race, and we were running a distant second. In 1961, we fell even further behind. Soviet cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin became the first man into space, circling the world in just 89 minutes. We had our own astronauts, and they were eager and ready to take the big ride. But our manned space program couldn't seem to get off the ground. We stuck with it, and on May 5th, 1961, things finally started going right. Astronaut Alan Shepard took his ship Freedom 7 6.5 miles into space. America had its first space hero.
Or why some say the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why 35 years ago? Why the Atlantic? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
We hadn't been more than 16 minutes into space, and now we were going to the moon. We would have to design a rocket the size of a 36-story office building. put it together with the precision of a microscope, and accelerate it to the speed of a bullet. Then we'd have to guide it to a moving target 250,000 miles away. Many people thought it was an impossible dream, but 400,000 of us set about making that dream a reality. It would be the longest, most hazardous voyage that any man had dared to attempt. But step by step, mission by mission, we orbited the Earth, perfecting the skills and technologies we would need on this incredible journey. One day, however, the dream of flying to the moon almost slipped away. It was January 27th, 1967. Astronauts Virgil Gus Grissom, Edward White, and Roger Chaffee were on board Apollo 1 for a plugs-out test, a full-scale dress rehearsal for the actual launch. Suddenly it happened. There was a fire in the capsule. 3 men whose lives had been in our hands were lost.
Surely the opening vistas of space promise high costs and hardships, as well as high reward. But this country of the United States was not built by those who waited and rested and wished to look behind them.
After Apollo 1, some thought we'd failed, and that the moon was out of our reach. But we owed it to those men to learn from their sacrifice and to carry on. We started taking the Apollo vehicle apart, piece by piece. Was the design flawed? And we spent 1.5 years redesigning the spacecraft so that no astronaut's life would ever be at risk because we overlooked something or because we could have done something better. A moon rocket is 91% high explosive, and it goes into the most unforgiving, hazardous environment there is. We could never make it risk-free, and the men who flew them knew that. We didn't send men into space again until Apollo 7 orbited the Earth, testing some of the new designs. When everything worked perfectly, the decision was made. The next mission would travel to the moon. We stood on the eve of the longest, most dangerous journey that any man had ever undertaken. And it would be taken by Frank Borman, James Lovell, and William Anders, the crew of Apollo 8. Through those doors, you'll find the firing room, launch control, just as it was on December 21st, 1968.
This is the firing room, launch control for the Apollo mission. This is not a mock-up. These are the very consoles we sat at when men first took off to fly to the moon.
It was a few days before Christmas, 1968, when Apollo 8 sat on the pad. She was the first of a new kind, a moon rocket. This was the Phoenix, risen from the ashes of Apollo 1. The first Apollo crew did not die in vain. This was to be their testament. 36 stories high, she had been fully fueled throughout the night. The liquid oxygen in her tanks caused ice to form on the outside of the craft. Earlier in the morning, astronauts Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, and Bill Anders had made their final preparations before taking that long ride out to the waiting spacecraft. The minimum safe distance from Saturn V and liftoff was 3 miles. The reason was simple. When fully fueled, the rocket contained the explosive power of an atomic bomb. As the clock counted down, the astronauts and all of us in launch control went through the pre-flight checks, our hands on the controls of the most powerful, most complex machine ever built. It had over 2 million separate systems, and to bring these men back alive, everything had to work perfectly. You are now in the final minutes before the launch of Apollo 8, right here where it actually happened.
Attention all personnel. Countdown clock. Start on my mark. T-minus 3 minutes. 3, 2, 1.
This is launch control, T-minus 3 minutes and counting. We have completed our communications checks with the Apollo 8 astronauts in the cabin, and the communications are go. During this period, once we do get the firing command, the various tanks within the 3 stages of the Saturn V launch vehicle begin to pressurize. We have firing command. The firing command is in. We are now on the automatic sequence, T-minus 2 minutes, 20 seconds, and counting. Our status board indicates that all aspects are ready. Instrument unit is ready, spacecraft ready, final check of the emergency detection system, that ready light also on. First stage preparations are completed.
All systems are A-OK. All systems go.
1 minute 45 seconds and counting. The first stage liquid oxygen tank has been pressurized, and the pressure is still building up. T-minus 60 seconds and counting. The vehicle now is completely pressurized. We're coming up on a power transfer shortly. We have the power transfer. We're now on the flight batteries within the launch vehicle. Final reports coming from Frank Borman at this time. Final look at the switch list aboard the spacecraft. 20 seconds, all aspects. We are still low at this time. T-minus 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9. We have ignition sequence start. The engines are on. 4, 3.
Successfully orbited the moon, and the astronauts returned safely to the Earth. I know. I'm Jim Lovell, and I was one of the crew of this spacecraft, Apollo 8. We were the first men to see the surface of the moon from just a few miles away.
Continue your journey in the lunar vehicle.
You remember the other one we saw, Saturn V?
I think so.
Do you remember the one in Texas?
Yes.
Yeah. You gonna see the flight plan above us?
That's a really big pin.
Yeah. It's a really big pin. That's a big rocket. See the different sections. It's like 3 sections. They use that one to get up so far and then disconnect, and then use that one and then disconnect.
That one.
Yep. That's what they used to say for the NASA astronauts. You have to have the right stuff to be an astronaut. have the right skills.
What if I have your skills?
They're very complicated. You know,
Just one was unplugged, entirely unplugged.
yeah, it wouldn't work right, that's for sure. I know Elon's got his way streamlined and simpler than that. That's pretty cool. That's what they took the astronauts. The astronaut van, the Astro van. Now they use Teslas for the SpaceX stuff.
I wonder why.
Yeah.
It's like some guy that owns it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man.
He's like, what should we use? How about Teslas?
Like, I want a home.
We're at the Space Center. No, that's okay. We're looking around. How's the weather now?
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that was a shame. Those 3 astronauts died from that fire. The problem was it was like pure oxygen. And they realized putting pure oxygen in there is probably not a great idea because it's extremely flammable. Spark happens. Hey, look, a 60s living room. I'm sure they had a ton of criteria. Yeah.
Good start, mate. AOS left. Roger, AOS left. Here's the Eagle, I agree. Bye-bye, Eagle, we're standing by for your burn report, over. Roger, burn 5.
As soon as the Eagle reappears, things begin to go wrong. Radio communications break down. Messages to Eagle must be relayed through Mike Collins aboard the command module Columbia. Throughout the crucial final checks, contact with the Eagle keeps dropping out. And Flight Director Gene Kranz inches closer to aborting the mission. With the vital computer links temporarily holding, the moment of decision is now.
Okay, all flight controllers, go and go for landing. Retro. Go, out, go, and go. Roll, go, down, go. ESP, go. Econ, go. Surgeon, go. Capcom, let's go for landing. Eagle, get to here. Go for landing, over. I never say, go for landing. 1, 0.
Hurtling toward the moon at 3,800 miles per hour, Neil Armstrong notices his checkpoints are all appearing too soon. This means a serious navigation error. At these speeds, 3 seconds long means missing the safe landing zone by 3 miles. Suddenly, the computer starts firing the maneuvering thrusters, jolting the ship back and forth. This has happened in simulations, but never this much, never this violent. The smooth descent is becoming a bumpy ride. Before that is fixed, a problem with the onboard computer. The astronauts have rehearsed for thousands of possible malfunctions, but not this one. It had been considered too unlikely. Seconds seem like hours as everyone struggles to remember the meaning of a 1202 program alarm. The deadline to safely abort is vanishing fast.
There is a reading on the 1202 program alarm.
12:02 means the Eagle's onboard computer is overloading. This means Houston is blind, unable to make navigation corrections or interpret the data coming from Eagle's computer. Armstrong and Aldrin are on their own. Mission Control decides they can go ahead, if the data link doesn't fail again. 1,000 feet, and Neil Armstrong can see that the computer is proposing to put them down in a dangerous place. That landing site is full of boulders. If they land there, they will never take off again. At 350 feet, Armstrong ignores his computer navigation and veers away from the rocky landing site with no time to explain to Mission Control.
Okay, I'll flight control everything tight.
In Mission Control, everybody is stunned. At 300 feet, the Eagle has left its flight plan and taken off at full speed across the face of the moon.
Eagle Houston is descent to fuel. Monitor, over.
90 seconds of fuel remaining. Now less than 200 feet, and the Eagle is too low to safely abort back into orbit. They call this part of the flight plan Dead Man's Curve. All that's left for Mission Control is to read off the fuel remaining in seconds. The entire moon landing has come down to 2 men and 1 minute.
Forward. Push feet down, 2.5. 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Like that. Down 2.5. Forward. Forward. 30 feet, 2.5 down. 6 down. 4 forward. 4 forward. This is to the right level. 9.5. Contact light. Okay, engine stop. Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. Rocket tranquility. We stopped you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue. We're breathing again. Thanks a lot. Good, Neil. We can see you coming down the ladder now.
For one incredible moment, we are one people with one history, watching our destiny unfold.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Armstrong is on the computer. 38-year-old
It was a moment shared by an entire world.
Pyramids from the planet Earth first set foot upon the moon. Became a peace for all mankind.
With these first steps, mankind stood on the highest ground, and we saw our planet as our home port in the endless ocean of space. Mankind had achieved a tenuous foothold in the heavens, and a new and exciting world lay waiting to be explored. The first mission had stayed for only 1 day, but over the next 3.5 years, 5 more Apollo missions visited the moon, and with each one, we stayed longer, roamed further, and discovered more.
I never thought when I was a kid building rockets, in high school, that we would go to the moon, before the end of the century. I mean, I thought that was something that was way in the future, fantasy.
This is the shuttle launch experience. And guests, when they come here, can actually sit down in these seats, and you are going to experience just what it's like to be on board a space shuttle, sitting on the launch pad, preparing for liftoff. You feel the roar of the engines as the shuttle takes off. Every astronaut I've ever spoken to says this simulator is pretty much exactly what they experienced when they powered off the ground and headed towards space.
Bumpy ride until the two solid rocket boosters are jettisoned off the main tank. Then it becomes a very smooth ride, but you feel like you have a 350-pound gorilla sitting on your chest while you're trying to breathe.